Dr. G, we had talked a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean a good deal about what's happening with the U.S. women's national soccer team winning the World Cup for the fourth time. They've never finished worse than third, two in a row. So pretty dominant. And the highest profile player, the captain, Megan Rapinoe, is going to great lengths to insult our country at every turn and our flag and disrespect it openly. She gets accolades at MSNBC and from ESPN, et cetera, for doing this. She'll probably get a big Nike contract out of it. I was curious, can you think of another country who has a player, much less a captain, on planet Earth that is so prominent in a national sport that attacks their own country when given a microphone, and the country does nothing about it? Like, I'm not suggesting we retaliate as a country. I don't think we should. But is there a country as free as the United States in the sense that you can have literally the most important person in a sport representing the country on the national stage do nothing but insult the country, and then nothing happens? Is that possible anywhere on Earth?
Well, clearly it's possible in the Nazi dictatorship that is run by Donald Trump, right? I mean,
Yes,
the
right.
absurdity of what we've been told for the last 3 years. There are fascists in the White House, white supremacists and racists that are creating a dictatorship with tanks rolling down the high street on July 4th. And this woman gets to trash our country consistently. Look, you're absolutely right. And, I'm going to tweet about it. I love the way you expressed it. In any other nation, I'm not talking about dictatorships, I'm talking about any other normal nation.
Sure.
The behavior of this woman and her teammates. I commented on my show America First, this video that I saw on Twitter. One of her teammates, Lindsay Harris, was filmed at the parade in New York shouting in a drunken rage, "I've got the keys to the city and I'm coming after your children and your wives." Sorry, what? I mean, this is, that kind of behavior, and the co-captains using the F word at her press conference in front of children in New York. In any other normal country, that would get you suspended from the national team or maybe barred from the national team. These people have they have the letters USA on their jerseys and
Yes.
our flag. This is not about you, Megan. This is about America. Grow up and stop being an entitled little brat.
Yeah, the two points here that are killer. First of all, that this is not just that no other country. I not only seen this from another country where they're literally the biggest star on the teams on a major sports national team just goes around insulting the country. And not only have I never seen that, it's actually an advertisement for the freedom in Donald Trump's America that this is allowed. So it goes beyond that this is sort of outrageous towards, in a way, it's an indirect advertisement for the freedom under Trump. Second of all, Dr. G, your point about her screaming, and I played the audio, which I thought was sort of banal faux edginess, her yelling, and I played this in the first hour, I won't play it again, but her screaming that New York is the mother effing best city. I'm new to this parenthood thing. I'm less than a year in. It hadn't dawned on me that, of course, that rally is mostly designed for kids. Who watches the women's national soccer team? It's mostly young people who have fantasies about, being athletes and are running around a field all day. It is entertainment designed at young people. And so, of course, that's the message she's sending to children.
Right, and I tweeted about it last night. It's clear that this woman never had her mother wash her mouth out with soap, but it would have done her some good. I mean, think about it. These are people who are at the look. Nobody watches, women's soccer. I get it, but they are at the top of their game, at the top of their sector in sports, and they win. And what do they start in between the expletives? What do they start lecturing us about? Equal pay? Are you joking? You're at the top of your game. Could you be more of a entitled snowflake who's living in a world that really isn't a reflection of reality? There are people out there who are barely managing to scrape by, and your issue is you're not rich enough at the top of your game. This is why Breitbart exists. This is why Andrew Breitbart's warning that politics is downstream from culture was so spot on, because this is what the left has created. When conservatives left the battlefield, when we allowed the extremists, the former terrorists like Bernardine Dawn, Bill Ayers, to become tenured professors in Chicago, you end up with people like the co-captain of the U.S. women's soccer team preaching to us that they're not rich enough and I'm coming after your children.
So, Dr. G, last one for today. Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman from Minnesota, slamming America in a speech to students, high school kids, so minors, talking about how America is unjust and, the victim narrative again, which has been the theme of the show today. And Tucker Carlson took her on, saying that her immigration is a problem, I guess. I don't have the full context, but that seems to be the gist of what he was saying. And then she called him a racist. And where are we on this saga? Is there anything new here? I mean, it all seems like the sort of give and take in the news cycle that we've been seeing, but it is overall, I mean, we've beaten this. I think we've made it pretty clear that Ilhan Omar is amongst the class of Democratic leaders that genuinely do not like the United States, and they consider their role in the United States government to point out that even though she's an immigrant to this country and has incredible privilege to be in the United States Congress, that she really thinks this is a horrible place.
Yeah, this is just, the next chapter in the sordid story that is this un-American anti-Semite story. Ilhan Omar came from a hellhole. Somalia was and remains a literal hellhole. She says that we are not a just country. Name one other country for me, Ilhan Omar, that saves you from the hellhole in which you were born, allows you to become the citizen of that country, and then elevates you to a place of prominence in their National Assembly. There is no other country like that. You are the antithesis of the founding principles of this nation. And I predict right now, I don't usually do predictions, but this is a woman who cannot control herself, whether
right.
it's her un-American activities, her rank anti-Semitism. Sooner or later, her confidence will be her undoing. She will step too far, and then the Democrat Party will have to deal with this woman in a rather lightning fashion.
Well, what's interesting here, Dr. G, is that I think the media is they don't treat. I think they don't do a good job of policing the left the way they've actually policed the right, where they've basically gotten the fringiest elements of the right completely deplatformed, and so they have almost. So what's
Alex,
interesting here, yeah.
Look at the Epstein scandal.
Yeah.
Look! I discussed this on my show yesterday. You have a man, according to somebody from the former NYPD officer on my show, said Epstein may have raped or abused over 1,000 girls. Right? So let's use the word for what he is. He's a pedophile and a rapist. And what does the media do? What has the media done for the last 72 hours? Focus on a cabinet member in the Trump administration who had nothing to do with the crimes of the pedophile. And then Maggie Haberman, who the DNC in the Podesta emails was described as the woman we love, where we can plant stories because she's so good to us. Maggie Haberman, the White House correspondent for the New York Times, writes a piece in which the headline is Donald Trump said something nice about Jeffrey Epstein 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So, this is a serial rapist pedophile, but the media wants to comment on half a sentence 15 years ago by the president, who barred Epstein from Mar-a-Lago as soon as he found out he was a pervert. That tells you all you need to know about the media today.
It sure does. And again, I think it really, this is where I was going with this, which is I think that the media going so woke and being so bubbled, I really think it's going to backfire, because Ilhan Omar, I think, is a recruitment tool for the MAGA movement. I think we're picking off liberals and even people who are
Tlaib, all of them.
It's because on a national level, they don't resonate. They resonate with the media. And by the way, Alex Acosta, who I was not a supporter of his nomination because he's a swampy establishment guy. I watched some of the press conference yesterday. We have some clips. Yeah. Well, we have some clips set aside. They're a little boring, so I don't know if I'm going to play them, but I'll tell you, even though I'm not an Alex Acosta fan, he made it at least seem like there was a plausible defense that he got a trade deal that was as good as he was going to be able to do in the Epstein charges. He got more than he was going to be able to get. Well, we don't know what he got. And this could be yet another example of just a person being smeared because they're connected with Donald Trump. He seems like a bad guy. I'm not saying he seems like a good guy, but this is what the left did with Paul Manafort. They're doing this with everyone, where they take these guys who I don't even like, and they make them somehow the victim of a media witch hunt.
Look, I've never met the man. If you judge him from externals, he doesn't look sympathetic. But I had exactly the same reaction yesterday. I watched the press conference before my show, and I said, "This Acosta, that was a very, very good press conference."
Yeah, it was.
Because clearly he's got nothing to hide. This man has nothing to hide. And his logical explication of what happened 11 years ago in Florida, where he said the state meddled in the charge sheet, and at the end of the day, we made a decision to protect the victims from anything else happening to them in a public federal trial.
Okay, well, we have a taste of that, Dr. G, so you might as well play it since producer Paul went to the effort. 1A, Mr. Paul, go ahead.
Simply put, the Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time. Nothing. Prosecutors in my former office found this to be completely unacceptable, and they became involved. Our office became involved. Our prosecutors, as this 2008 article recounts, presented the ultimatum: plead guilty to more serious charges that required jail time, registration, and restitution, or we'd roll the dice and bring a federal indictment. Without the work of our prosecutors, Epstein would have gotten away with just that state charge.
Yeah, Dr. G, exactly what you said. It seems like a totally reasonable explanation. We don't know all the details. We are all sort of speculating on all this stuff, and I just don't. But the media has already convicted him of being the most evil guy since the last evil guy they anointed as the most evil guy.
They have an agenda. Maggie Haberman wants to deflect away from sexual predators and rapists. That, for the New York Times, it's more important to create some fake threat to the Trump administration. Why? Because they want to sabotage this administration. I lived it when I was in there. Anybody associated with the president, who works with the president, anybody who's a member of his family, look at what they're doing now, with more subpoenas. 12 more subpoenas from Jerry Nadler. Seriously, after $35 million wasted by Robert Mueller, Jerry Nadler's going to find the smoking gun. It's all about sabotaging the will of 63 million people who chose an outsider, a non-politician, to drain the swamp. And, Maggie Haberman is part of that cabal.